Welcome back to Eyewitness News here on the KSCW. Charlie O'Hara joining us once again on this Wednesday morning, 436-1212. If you'd like to talk to Charlie, good morning. Good to see you again.
Good morning.
You didn't get blown away.
No, but it's pretty windy.
It's starting to get annoying, isn't it?
It is a little annoying. It sure is.
It'll die down eventually. Mark promises. We have got some phone calls on the line already for Charlie today, so let's go ahead and get to those. What's your question for Charlie? Good morning. Are you there? What's your question for Charlie?
I was just served a PFA, and it's totally false allegations, and they say that I cannot go back into my home. My ex, she is staying at the safe house now, and there's things that I got to do at my house. And I was just wondering if there was any advice that I can get to turn this PFA around, or what I can do to get back into my home.
Okay, well, for all of it you don't know, a PFA is a protection from abuse, which would mean someone is alleging that there's been abuse and they want the person that allegedly is abusing them to stay away from them. They can go to the court, and if they set sufficient reasons under oath on that piece of paper to the judge, then there's a temporary order that's issued that they cannot go around that person until there's a hearing. So in this instance, it sounds like this young man got a piece of paper that says he cannot go home. That's the order of the judge, and until you have a hearing, which will be on that piece of paper, you can't go home. You have to follow what the judge says. And that's why we have judges, and when they make orders, they're the boss. You have to do what they say. You should have a hearing on there, and a hearing date. You can go to the court. If the allegations aren't true, then you can have a hearing. If the lady doesn't show up, they'll dismiss the case. If it's going to be a real hearing, sometimes people get attorneys for that. If you want advice about specifically what to do about all that hearing, then you probably need to go see an attorney. That happens quite frequently. We have a lot of protection from abuse hearings here in Wichita, and when that happens, though, you have to follow the piece of paper. You'll be in contempt of court and even may get charged with a crime if you don't follow the order.
So if you are going to a hearing, then you need to have someone, some kind of attorney to help maybe, get you some rights as well.
Well, the way the protection from abuse docket works, not everybody shows up with an attorney. Now, my advice is if you're going to court, you should have an attorney.
Okay.
But I'm an attorney. But I think you're always better off to have an attorney there. If you can't afford one, then you just need to go and you can state your position. The judge will listen to you. But right now, he can't even get back in his house, so he's got some real problems.
And stating your position kind of like he was just here on the phone, talking about what the situation is.
Yeah, but I mean, to say that they're all false, that's not a good legal argument. You have to make specific legal arguments and things like that, so you're always better with an attorney. Some people always think they can do what attorneys do, but it's a little more difficult than people think it is.
Yeah, you know the law. Thank you, Charlie. We're going to head back to the phone. We have another caller on the line. Go ahead. What's your question for Charlie today?
Yes, I would like to know, is there a law that says that a 17-year-old can't move out of the house before they're 18, or how does that legally work?
Well, I don't know there's actually a law that says that. There's a lot. Obviously, that's a real tough position because they're really not old enough to do anything at 18 years old. They can't contract anything. I guess they can drive in some instances, but that's about it. Probably they're supposed to stay home, and that you probably have control over them. At that age, and not anyone's going to be able to do much with them anyway. So you probably ought to try to settle it yourself without going to court. I think getting court involved in those situations is sometimes not helpful to anyone. If you can't do that, well, then you probably ought to go see an attorney and discuss what your options are. There are probably a number of options, including maybe even letting the child reach. They can have their own rights even though they're underage to go out and live on their own, but I don't think I just let them go. I think I'd try to do something to work that situation out.
Okay, thank you. All right, we're going to head back to the phones. Time for one more call. Go ahead. What's your question for Charlie this Wednesday?
Yes, I have a brother that pays child support on 2 children, and his ex left the state of Texas without him knowing. So what can he do about that?
Well, actually, most people don't understand this, but child support is separate than custody and visitation. Those are separate issues. If you father a child or you're the mother of a child and the child doesn't live with you, you have a duty to support that child. If you don't support them, you can actually even be jailed at times, so you have to support them. If the child is being moved around, that's a separate issue, and you need to go to court, a domestic court, like here in Wichita, with an attorney here, or you may have to go to Texas, or you may have to go to the state that the children are now residing in and get the visitation or custody settled in court, but you have to go there and do that. They're separate issues. Most people confuse them, but one doesn't cause the other to happen.
Okay, so just because you are paying money doesn't mean you get to necessarily control where they live.
That's exactly correct.
All right. Thank you, Charlie. Good to see you again.
Okay, good
Have
to
a
see
good
you.
week.
Bye.
We'll be back in just a moment with more Eyewitness News. Stick with us here at the KSCW.
Expect more from KSCW. This is Eyewitness News this morning in high definition. Online at kwch.com.